Welcome to Sarah Wood's Tale, where stories comes alive. Please do well to hit that subscription button and turn on your notification bell for subsequent stories. Ethan Carter sat in his massive penthouse, staring at the glittering skyline of New York City. He had everything: money, power, success. At just 32, he was one of the richest men in the world, the CEO of Carter Tech, a leading technology empire. But none of it made him happy. His phone buzzed. A message from his fiancée, Isabella Green. "Can't wait for our shopping trip tomorrow. I saw this diamond bracelet I just have to have. Love you." Ethan sighed. Isabella was beautiful, intelligent, and charming, but deep down, he knew the truth. She loved his money more than she loved him. That evening, he hosted a private gathering at his penthouse. Guests sipped on expensive champagne, dressed in designer outfits. Isabella stood in the center, laughing with her friends, flashing the diamond ring Ethan had given her. Ethan walked over and gently took her hand. "Can we talk?" She smiled at her friends. "Excuse me, ladies. My future husband needs me." Once they stepped onto the balcony, he turned to her. "Isabella, can I ask you something?" She twirled a strand of her golden hair. "Of course, babe. What's wrong?" "If I lost everything, my money, my company, would you still love me?" She laughed. "What kind of question is that?" "I'm serious," he insisted. "Would you stay with me if I had nothing?" She hesitated. "Ethan, why are you even asking this? You're not going to lose anything. You're Ethan Carter." "But what if I did?" She sighed, looking annoyed. "Look, I love our life. The trips to Paris, the luxury, the lifestyle. If you lost it all, I don't know. Why would I stay?" Ethan felt a sharp pain in his chest. He had hoped for a different answer, but deep down, he had known the truth all along. "I see," he said, his voice emotionless. The next morning, he called off the engagement. Isabella cried, screamed, and even threatened him, but he didn't care. That night, as he sat alone in his empty penthouse, he made a decision that would change his life forever. He would disappear. Billionaire Ethan Carter in tragic car accident, paralyzed from the waist down. News stations reported that Ethan had barely survived a brutal crash and had lost his ability to walk. Carter Tech released a statement confirming that their CEO would be stepping down indefinitely. But it was all a lie. Ethan had staged the accident, paid a trusted doctor to create false medical reports, and vanished from public life. Under the alias Daniel West, he moved to a small town in Kenya, far away from the high society that knew him. He rented a modest home, bought a second-hand wheelchair, and started his new life. For the first time, he was just an ordinary man. It was a quiet afternoon when Daniel rolled his wheelchair into Sophie Adams Cafe, a small but cozy place near the town market. The scent of fresh coffee and warm pastries filled the air. Sophie, a woman in her late 20s with curly brown hair and deep brown eyes, was behind the counter, cleaning a tray. She looked up and smiled. "Good afternoon. What can I get for you?" Daniel hesitated. Her smile was warm, genuine, so different from the fake smiles he was used to. "A black coffee, please," he said. She nodded. "Coming right up." As she moved around, serving customers, he noticed something. She wasn't like the women he knew. She didn't wear expensive jewelry or designer clothes. She was simple yet beautiful, moving with a quiet grace. When she brought his coffee, she placed it in front of him with a gentle smile. "Here you go." "Thank you," he said. She leaned on the counter. "I haven't seen you around before. New in town?" He nodded. "Yeah. Just moved here. I needed a change." She wiped a table nearby. "Well, welcome. This town is quiet, but it has good people." From that day, Daniel became a regular. Every morning, he sat in the same spot, sipping coffee and watching Sophie work. One evening, as the cafe closed, he found her sitting outside, staring at the sky. "You okay?" he asked. She sighed. "Just thinking." "About what?" She smiled softly. "Life. Dreams. Struggles." Daniel hesitated. If you could have anything in the world, what would it be? She thought for a moment. A simple life. A happy one. Money doesn't matter to me. His heart clenched. Could she be the one? For the first time in his life, Ethan felt happy. Sophie wasn't just kind, she was strong, independent, and real. He wanted to tell her the truth, but he was afraid of losing her. Then, one afternoon, a ghost from his past arrived. Richard Hale, his former business rival, walked into the cafe. He froze when he saw Daniel. Well, Richard smirked. If it isn't Ethan Carter, the billionaire who faked being crippled. Daniel's blood ran cold. Richard, keep your voice down. Richard chuckled. What's the game here, Carter? Trying to see if a woman loves you without your billions. Leave me alone, Daniel growled. Richard leaned in. Or what? I wonder how Sophie will feel when she learns you've been lying this whole time. The next morning, Sophie wasn't herself. She avoided Daniel, her smile gone. Finally, she confronted him. Is it true? She asked, her voice shaking. Daniel looked at her, his heart pounding. Sophie, let me explain. You're not really Daniel. You're Ethan Carter. You've been lying to me. Tears welled up in her eyes. Was I just a test to you? No. I just wanted to find someone who loved me for me, not my money. She stepped back. And you thought lying was the way to do that? Sophie, please. I don't even know who you are anymore. She turned and walked away. And just like that, Daniel lost the one thing that had ever felt real. Days passed. Sophie didn't come to the cafe. Guilt ate at Ethan. Finally, he made a decision. He held a press conference, revealing the truth about his staged accident. I am donating half of my fortune to charity, he announced. Wealth doesn't define happiness. Love does. That night, he found Sophie outside her house. She looked at him. Why are you here? Because I love you, he said, his voice breaking. And I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied. She crossed her arms. How do I know this isn't another test? He took a deep breath. Because this time, I have nothing left to prove. Just my heart. Tears filled her eyes. After a long silence, she whispered, then prove it. Months later, Ethan and Sophie stood hand in hand outside her cafe, now thriving. He had given up his billionaire lifestyle for a simpler, happier life. As Sophie kissed him under the golden sunset, Ethan finally understood. True love had nothing to do with wealth. It had everything to do with the heart. Please don't forget to subscribe to get more interesting stories like this.